Do you remember that show, Are You Next? Survival show that aired a little while ago? It gained a lot of attention because arguably the most talented trainee didn't even get picked to be in the final lineup, which led to a lot of people calling it rigged, as most survival shows at one point get called rigged. Well, the group coming from it is called ILLIT, I think, or maybe ILLIT, but I think it's ILLIT, and they are set to debut in a few days as of me recording this. They have dropped a highlight medley for their 4-song long debut EP, and I will say this sounds really fucking good. In fact, the first bit of content that I've consumed from this group ever is this highlight medley, and I was enamored, to say the least. I thought this production was fantastic. From what we've heard so far, it sounds like a lot of dance plug-and-B and lo-fi, a lot of like light, dreamy, ethereal electronic sounds, and I'm all for that. I'm a big fan of that sound. The only issue is we've only seen a little bit, and I'm really hoping these songs aren't like 2.5 minutes long. I'm hoping for at least 250 or 3 minutes. I know that's a very low bar, but in K-pop right now, that is all we can hope for. Now, as I said a minute ago, I didn't watch this show. I watched a few of the performances. I was less than impressed by the talent I saw. Going forward in this video, the aim is not for this to be criticism towards the group or the formation of the group. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding the formation, specifically who came in first, but this video is not here to bash anyone. The reason I don't even say her name is because I'm afraid someone's going to come into the comments and start bashing her when she is young. That is a criticism in its own right. 2 of the members in this group are incredibly young. Unfortunately, young idols debuting is what feels like the norm nowadays, especially after seeing the Eunice lineup in their ages, which physically made my eyes bleed. Surrounding this debut highlight medley, there was a lot of discussion by fans talking about why it's obvious that, trainees like Jiwoo and Chanel got voted off the show and weren't in the final lineup because of this cuter debut concept, and that it was obvious that Hybe had this concept in mind before the show was even over, and the formation of this group was very deliberate. And my answer to that conclusion is, well, yes, duh. And this is where we get into the often talked about but never really highlighted attribute of K-pop, and that's how manufactured everything is. In these TikTok comment sections, it's as if they were having this realization for the first time. It's like, wow, Hybe had this deliberate plan set up for this group to be a certain way so they can have this certain concept, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, they planned this shit. I know there were accusations of the show being rigged, ones that I don't personally agree with because I don't know everything that happens behind the scenes, so I can't tell you if it's a rigged show or not. Whenever an individual doesn't like a final lineup in any survival show in regards to K-pop, it's always, well, the show was rigged. And whether or not it was rigged or not, there's nothing really much you can do about it after the fact. But yes, at least to me, it was pretty obvious that Hybe already had an idea for this group in mind before the group was even fully formed. Now, does that necessarily mean that this concept came about before the final lineup was complete? No, this could have easily been created after the final lineup was formed. But just like in a lot of other survival shows, from what I saw, Are You Next seemed to favor specific contestants in particular, and it seemed as if those contestants were the ones that ended up in the final lineup, and we are here with this much more cute, light concept. Every step of the K-pop process is manufactured. The concepts are manufactured. The songs are manufactured. The reliance on parasocial relationships is manufactured. Hell, even some of the personalities of these idols on screen are manufactured. So it gave me quite a chuckle to see some fans come to this revelation that this concept for ILLIT may have been manufactured, and potentially Are You Next had a lineup picked out before the show was even over. I'm one who believes this concept was probably picked out before the final formation of the group was even picked out, and whether or not this concept was picked out before or after the group formed, it's manufacturing an image that Hybe wants to present for this group. And that brings in NewJeans. The amount of people I have seen that are calling ILLIT another NewJeans oh, they're a 5-member girl group with a cuter concept, so they have to be NewJeans. And I agree, there are some musical elements found in NewJeans songs that have been heard just from this highlight medley, but these songs from the highlight medley, they don't even seem like they're in the same genre of music that most of NewJeans' music is under. Kind of reminds me when everybody, including myself, misidentified NewJeans' concept as being very Y2K inspired, which really is not the case. A lot of NewJeans' music consists of contemporary R&B and bedroom pop sounds, which is not what I'm getting from these ILLIT tracks from what I've heard. So I've seen some people say they sound musically similar, and to me, I'm not hearing that. Hybe debuting another 5-member girl group with some young members and a cuter image doesn't mean they're trying to copy NewJeans' style or sound. What NewJeans has done in the short time they've existed in K-pop has been, dare I say, irreplaceable. The amount of sounds and styles that have seemed to directly take inspiration from NewJeans since NewJeans debuted is more than I can count. But ILLIT doesn't seem like that to me, so I'm just gonna squash that narrative here. I think you could even argue that NewJeans' image is becoming too manufactured over time, right? Their Get Up EP had almost too much of the same thing. NewJeans are a widely celebrated and beloved group. Trust me, I went to Lollapalooza, I saw them live, I saw how many people showed up just to see them. If you're still doubting their size after showing up at Lollapalooza and winning an award recently at Billboard Women in Music, I don't know what to tell you. But a criticism I had for one of their recent EPs as someone who enjoys their music is that the sound started to become a little too repetitive, and the image that Adore and Hybe are trying to push with the group is becoming a little stale to me. When it comes to music, K-pop is as manufactured as it gets, but sometimes you can overproduce something. And typically, the groups that are able to blast the longest and hold the most weight to people is the ones that experiment with their sound and their artistry. Two biggest girl groups in K-pop, Twice and Red Velvet. Red Velvet has that red and that velvet concept, the fun, cute, wacky pop sounds with the red side, and then the more mature, darker imagery with their velvet sides. Twice debuted and for a while made a lot more cuter bubblegum pop sounding music and eventually transitioned to more mature and now recently disco and retro pop sounds. K-pop being manufactured is not always a terrible thing in every instance, right? Red Velvet's concept is as manufactured as it gets. If we were talking about video games and Red Velvet was a boss fight, it would be a gimmick, but SM knows when to switch between their red and their velvet concepts at a pace that keeps K-pop fans coming back for more, and it's led to a lot of longevity with the group. The question I want to ask at the end of this video is, are you surprised by the concept that ILLIT went with? The reveal of this concept had some people putting together puzzle pieces in their head, having a light bulb moment when they realized, wow, Hybe could have been pulling the strings and coming up with this concept months in advance. This was all set up. There's a reason Jiwoo and Chanel aren't in this group. It's very obvious, and yeah. At times, K-pop really does just feel like a machine pumping out music. I've been to a ton of K-pop concerts, and a few of them have been really fun. Specifically, I went to a Pixie and Purple Kiss concert in which I had some VIP level package tickets, and mainly because they were incredibly cheap, but also because I just wanted to be closer to the front, because both venues were GA and I didn't feel like standing in the middle of the pit. Needless to say, I don't like standing in GA, which is why I got these VIP tickets, was to get there early so I didn't really have to, but they also came with some benefits. These benefits were, oh, I get to go to a little fan sign thing. With Pixie, it was just pretty simple. It was, you go through and basically get your album signed and you say hi to them, and me and my family members were handing out bracelets to them, which they wore on stage, which was a little cute moment. With Purple Kiss, there was a little bit more, there was a fan signing event, and then there was a group picture afterwards, and you got to take selfies with all of them, and I had all that stuff. In fact, I'll show some of them on screen as I'm talking about it. I felt really bad for them, though, because they had to take pictures with hundreds of people, and this was after the concert. They were so tired because they gave off a really good performance. They were trying super hard, but the fan signings I went to and all this picture stuff, there's a little shade of inorganic manufacturedness to it, and I never really felt nervous around any of these individuals because they're humans too. like they're just people. There's this very light but noticeable veil over K-pop that reads, this is manufactured, but we're not going to tell you, and we're going to try to convince you that these idols are obtainable, and because you watch a few variety shows of them, they're your best friend. They're also going to have to go on extreme diets and get plastic surgery to fit the beauty standards, all while they dress them up in nice outfits and make them lip sync and dance on stage to seem perfect. The entire concept of an idol in K-pop itself feels so fake. I think stans can take some solace in the fact that some of these individuals really enjoy what they do and are genuinely nice human beings. I don't want this video to come off as K-pop sucks because it's fake and manufactured, because I've been listening to it now for 7+ years. But I think as a community, we need to collectively start realizing that these companies do things for a reason. At the end of the day, K-pop exists to make money, and the industry just acts as the manufacturing process to pump out the product and get the money. I hope that message isn't too depressing to some people. I think there are some genuinely positive things about the industry, and I think the music is great. For me to be a fan of something, you have to acknowledge all aspects of whatever you're a fan of, and with K-pop at times it feels like the bad can outweigh the good. I'm gonna cut this video short here before I go on a longer tangent. All in all, I didn't really care for the formation of ILLIT or them as a group over the past couple months, but their highlight medley definitely piqued my attention, and I will be awaiting it coming the 25th. And whether or not their concept was chosen because of the group's formation, or maybe the group was chosen because of the concept, I think with just the genres they're playing around with alone, this group definitely has a window for success. And as someone who is really here for the music, I'm excited for that. So tell me what you guys think about ILLIT. Do you think their music sounds good? If you're watching this by the time they debuted, do you think their music sounds good? Let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video.